I gotta channel my inner fucking my sinning, you know, when it comes down to this kind of stuff. Welcome on in, everybody.
You've even dressed like him.
I did. I got the hat. I got the glasses.
I didn't even realize.
I am sinning.
Always have been.
He's just a puppet for me. How's it going, everybody? What's up? Hello. Welcome on in to Pre-Patch Podcast. As you know, we are who we are. I'm Enigma. We got Bill. We got Scruffy. What's up, guys? It's good seeing you guys again finally after a couple of weeks.
Glad to be back.
Yeah.
Glad to be back.
Yeah, it's a good times. Good times.
Yeah. I will say though that if you're sinning, that's really throwing a wrench in the Bill and Enigma conspiracy theories.
I mean, we might just all be the same person at this point. I don't know.
It's a hard patch, as was said earlier. You know,
it's a hard patch.
But yeah. So we are back. Sorry about the delays on the recent podcast, guys. We've had some stuff going on in the background. Schedules haven't been able to align, so we're doing our best to kind of get things back into preparation. We will have kind of more information for that, at least when it comes down to like when we're going to be live and all that kind of stuff in the next podcast, which we will be live this Thursday. This is just kind of a makeup podcast just to kind of
100% sure
catch up. Yeah.
Yes.
So welcome on in. As I said, Pre-Patch Podcast episode 128. Holy shit. I can't believe it, man.
I am.
128, boys.
Yep.
128 boys and girls. Hopefully
Every
you guys are having a
episode
good
feels
one.
more and more impressive once we pass that 100 mark.
It honestly
Seriously.
does, kind of like it's one of those situations we've said it in the past where I'm like, man, and I don't mean to sound like an asshole or anything like that, but when it comes down to things statistically, most of the time podcasts don't make it past like 20 or 30 episodes. So we're doing good, man. We're doing pretty decent. I was fully expecting to make it like maybe 50 and we were going to be like, all right, we're good. We'll move on. It's fine. I am glad
that
we
was
didn't,
fun.
though.
Yeah.
I am extremely glad we didn't.
90% will quit after 20 episodes.
Yeah.
I looked up the statistic, and that seems to be the one going around.
It's pretty accurate, honestly.
Wow.
So
we've already surpassed 100 on top of that.
we have already surpassed 100
we've
on
done
top
that
of everything.
Over 6 times now.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But yeah, I suck at interest. Welcome on in again. 128. We got a lot to talk about this evening. As you guys know, we usually start the podcast out with what we've been playing. We've got a couple of games, some bangers that have released recently. I know Bill, you went back to Elden Ring, obviously. Our Elden Ring big boy over here.
Yeah, the DLC came out, so we'll be talking about that.
We'll be talking about that, and you know, I've got Soul Mask. We'll be talking about. Scruffy's got what was it that you were talking about, Scruffy? What was the name of
Frag Punk.
Fragpunk, yeah.
Fragpunk.
And then obviously we've got Zenless Zone Zero. So we got a lot to talk about. So let's just kick right into it. Let's get into
before
Bill.
we get into it though. We are not joined by Sinan today. Just he's taking a little bit of a sabbatical, so
yes,
it's just
he will be back.
Tonight.
We don't know when he will be back, but he will be back.
Holding it down.
Yep. So, but yeah, as that says, Bill, let her rip, bud.
So Shadow of the Erd Tree, Elden Ring's DLC came out. Big hype for this. This was one that has been on a lot of people's thoughts well before they even announced it, and then after they announced it, the internet just kind of blew up again because Elden Ring is love, Elden Ring is life, and just like when the original game came out, the DLC has kind of taken the internet by storm. A ton of people playing it, a ton of content being made on it, and a ton of opinions being made on it. This time, not exactly by like the gaming.
A lot of opinions.
Kind of a little bit by gaming journalists. A lot of opinions, yeah. Gaming journalism didn't have as much of a play in this one as the audience of the game itself, oddly enough. And I do kind of, once we get into it, kind of want your guys' opinion on that. And I think it's good. I'm of the mindset that they did really well with it. It seems to be a 50-50 take on whether people are liking it or not, and that is purely based on the difficulty of the DLC. Which, coming from people who play Souls games, complaining about difficulty seems really odd, considering anytime anybody outside of the community has ever
just as a quick sorry about
difficulty in the past.
So sorry about the lagging, guys. I don't know what's going on. I'm hoping that my internet is not having a connection fit right now, but it looks like it might be. Are we still live? Are we still good?
Yeah,
We're still live. I was putting in the chat. It looks like we're getting a little bit of lag on the Twitch side. Little drop frames. I'm not sure if that's on me.
Hopefully, I'm
Nah,
not
it's on me
showing
too.
any. I
But
mean,
we-
I'm
hopefully
showing
we
that
stay live now.
we're having pretty bad. I'm sorry, guys. We are having a lot of drop frames. We're 43%. Hopefully that irons itself out. It looks like it might be my internet connection.
Yeah, if you want, you could drop the Twitch side on YouTube.
We might have to.
If
I'm
need be.
dropping a lot of frames. I'm
All
sorry,
right,
Twitch. Dude,
everybody
you're
on
gonna,
the Twitch side.
you're gonna have to go
love
over
you
to
guys.
YouTube. Love
Head
you.
over to the YouTube side. Yep, yep. Impromptu technical difficulties. This is the fix.
It wouldn't be a pre-patched podcast without them.
It
Of
might
course.
it might just be my internet, honestly, though.
Okay.
Keep going.
We'll
hopefully it'll kind
play
of
around it.
iron itself out a little bit.
But
Now the blaring question, Bill, that I need to ask you: Did you at all feel gate kept?
by the DLC, no. I didn't feel gate kept on my 150 new game plus 3 character. I didn't feel gate kept on a new character that I made for the DLC, and I didn't feel gate kept on my level 1 character going into the DLC. So
There you have it.
Mogan Radon did not keep me from enjoying myself.
Good. Well, I'm glad. I've heard a lot of great things about the DLC. So
yeah, the DLC it's been polarizing more so than anything else that From Software's put out. The community itself is complaining that it's too difficult. Some of them are, which considering a lot of them say get good to people who complain that these games are too hard. It's a real weird vibe from the community. So
yeah, but their
is
workaround
hard.
with that was pretty good. You know.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that a bit later.
Okay.
But it's good. Boss variety is there. Honestly, boss variety is better in the DLC than it is in base game. There's a lot less replicated bosses, which I know a lot of people had issues with in base game Elden Ring. Every boss encounter is fairly unique, even the mid bosses. There are a few repeat bosses that were repeats from the base game that come into this, but not a lot by any means. And every single encounter gives you like a decent incentive. Like if it's an NPC boss, you pretty well get their entire armor set and weapon after you defeat them. So that's kind of cool. But
very good.
We should be good now, guys.
And the style of it all.
I'm hoping we're good now.
Yes.
Hopefully we're not dropping any more frames. Good. Yeah, no, I've heard a lot of good things about the Shadow of the Erd Tree. I heard a lot of people saying that it was like it's too tough. It's very, very difficult, and we'll be talking about that later. But I've also heard like we have a viewer, Holy Pika, that was playing it when it very first dropped, and he was saying that like they actually do give you ways of like making that difficulty spike a little bit less, like ironing it out. I don't remember exactly what he was talking about. There was like some kind of like seed or something like that you can find, or like a consumable or something like that.
Yeah, so like in the base game where you had the golden seeds that would level up your flask and stuff, the DLC has a consumable called Scadu Tree Fragments. You use those and it gives you a % modifier to your stats.
Interesting.
So
okay.
it'll increase your damage and it'll increase your resistances based on how many of these fragments you've collected throughout the DLC. So
that's a permanent increase
while you're in the DLC. It does not apply to
makes sense. Yeah, it
doesn't apply to base game, but in the DLC is heavily balanced around you collecting those. So they've taken exploration and made it your way of progressing your builds even further, because
I think that's actually really smart.
Yeah, putting points in the stats are going to be not nearly as effective. And by the end of the DLC, if you go through and you collect most or all of these Scattered Tree Fragments, your damage is effectively going to double.
Yeah, I think that's a really smart way to do that and like to scale difficulty in a DLC, because like obviously you can then you go in whether you're a new character, new game plus character, or an existing character, and you're getting demolished. But that way you can like level up in the DLC, like in its own kind of way.
Yeah,
essentially.
It's a double-edged sword with that, because there's some people that their favorite part of Elden Ring was the exploration, and for those people, this is the perfect fix.
That's kind of me as well.
Incentivize exploration even more.
When I originally played Elden Ring, that was my biggest situation. Was like I liked exploring Elden Ring more than I liked playing Elden Ring. Like that makes sense. I like the actual areas.
Is perfect for you.
Yeah, I like the actual like looking at the areas and going to like the different areas, seeing the beauty that they have in the Elden Ring, just the map alone. And that was my biggest. Like I quite enjoyed it, and I suck at Souls likes. So like when it came down to that, it kind of. I'm obviously I have the DLC. So, I'm probably never going to get into the DLC, unfortunately. But
if you ever want to get into it, I got you.
I'm sure on the contrary to that, though, then you have the players who are more like story focused, boss rush focused, like that don't want to do as much of the exploring. So
and that's your more traditional Souls players, that
because that's how other Souls games played.
Exactly.
This is an outlier.
You could boss rush them. This is an open world. It's intended for you to interact with that open world. So little back and forth. I think it's a good thing. I think they handled it extremely well. And I am seeing some comments in the chat saying that the bosses, there's some players that are complaining that the bosses are overtuned and that they just keep comboing and comboing and comboing. It doesn't really feel like players have a way of attacking back, or like the opening is not big enough for certain builds and whatnot. I've played a decent amount of it so far. I have not finished it yet, but I have fought a decent amount in the DLC. There's definitely a lot of aggression from these bosses, but I never felt like with any of my builds. I've tried it with the build that you're seeing on screen, which is like a twin blade fire mancer type build. I've tried it with a pure strength build. I've started it with my level 1 build. None of them, especially the strength build, none of them really felt
too slow.
Like I couldn't find a window. There's always windows with these bosses, at least the ones that I've fought so far. I know the final boss of the DLC is apparently something else, but at least
I mean, which he should be. So far, like honestly, like if it's a final boss, like if it's a final boss of a DLC, it shouldn't be a pushover. Like it should be something that challenges you. But,
and especially if they're expecting you to double your damage output and resistances by the time you fight it. Yeah. So, but yeah, I understand the aggression. I honestly like the level of aggression that they put into it. I like it more so than some of the base game bosses. It doesn't feel like the bosses input read you as much. It feels like they're more static set combos or variations of static set combos instead of, okay, now it's going to input read me doing this, and then it's going to counter with this.
So a little easier to learn, like timings and patterns.
Yeah, more easy to recognize patterns and stuff, and not something where, okay, this looks like, oh nope, it's not, because as soon as I go into an attack, then it starts up a second half of the combo.
Yeah.
That's good. I mean, that helps with people that aren't necessarily as good at Souls likes like me. I think that'll probably be a little bit of a benefit on my end, because it's less that I have to keep track of for sure. But I think we could still get there.
Variations on set patterns myself.
Yeah, that's the same with me. I'm right there with you. When I first played Elden Ring, that was one of my biggest frustrations. Was like I'd be sitting there, taking out a boss, trying to take out a boss. I'd get the move set down for it perfectly. Like I'm like, okay, this is how it's gonna go. And then right in the middle of a fucking move, he'd swap it up, and I'd be like, okay, well, that fucked me over completely. I guess went back to the drawing board or back to square one. But hey, I have heard that a lot of people are enjoying it though. Tons of people came back for it. I know that, which I'm very impressed with. The only problem that I do have with it is that a lot of people did come back to the game, right? But I feel like they came back to it, beat the expansion, and then it just kind of it's faded away. Like we don't see a lot of people talking about it now. Like there was like a week and a half to 2 weeks of people that were just like Elden Ring, and now we got nothing.
I know. I'm sure there has been expansions in the past that have blown out of the water and just been the
I don't
chat
doubt it.
of, you know,
I don't
forever.
doubt it.
But I feel like typically DLCs are kind of that length of like hype and excitement. You know,
Yeah.
maybe it could have gone a little bit more if it was a bit more well, you know, received through the entire
We're back
community.
up to mostly positive.
That's good.
On the Steam reviews,
which is good. Yeah,
it's
I think that was kind of shit. To be fair, I never think that like review bombing and especially going to Steam and review bombing is the way to go.
Well,
it's
especially for it just being too difficult. That literally,
like that's to
me
the
reviews, because we were looking at it because if you don't know, Sin had some pretty interesting takes about, you know, this certain expansion previously. I was going back looking at the reviews and like going through each and every individual one of them to see what the review was for the negative, and 9 times out of 10 it was like too difficult. Bosses
hard.
feel too difficult.
Yeah,
there's not enough time between attacks. There was a couple of them that were like issues with launch, with it being able to play. I guess there was some issues with like being able to log in or use your DLC or something like that. I can't remember exactly what it was, but those were predominantly like when it came down to like negative reviews. That was the biggest issue, was like too difficult, couldn't play, this, that in between, right? I didn't really see a ton of other ones.
It's so weird coming from the Souls community that would be a big, but I think a lot of people, this was their first look at From Software and like Souls style games.
Yeah.
And they probably were not expecting this kind of content, especially considering that a lot of people find Elden Ring's base game the easiest content that From Software has put out.
I personally found Elden
you're a lot
Ring
more free
easy
too in the base game, correct? Like I mean, the DLC is still open world, but
it is
in the base game you have more options. Is that wrong to say? Or
it's I honestly think the DLC balances stuff better. I think the stuff that you can find, like the sub dungeons and stuff like that in the DLC, there's enough of them to power you up effectively, and it is it's not as redundant. They're more handcrafted. They feel better. And there are plenty of ways other than throwing your head against a wall against a boss to power yourself up before you go back into said boss.
So yeah, maybe it is just a case of like Elden Ring as it did bring in a lot of new players. You know, it just they were not ready.
Yeah, I feel like the community's kind of been weird about some of the mechanics of Elden Ring. Like I know spirit summons are like a big taboo no to a lot of people.
Which I never understood, man. I never understood that.
I don't understand it. Me personally, I don't like using them. It's not the play style I enjoy. I like the one-on-ones with bosses, but I see no shame in using them. They're in the game for a reason. If you want to use them, if you need to use them, have at it. And I feel like, again, Elden Ring's kind of balanced around expecting players to use those mechanics, because if it wasn't balanced around that in some way, shape, or form, then those mechanics would be overpowered in themselves.
Yeah.
And even still, they kind of are.
Yeah. I mean,
there's also, the last thing about that is there's also, like with the damage and the health and stuff with the Scatty Tree fragments, there's another fragment system that is specifically for your spirit ashes in the DLC to make them doubly as effective.
Levels those up too. That's actually really nice, because that was one of my concerns, was like, are they going to give like more powerful summons when it comes down to that, which I'm sure they do. I'm sure you can find more summons when it comes to the DLC characters. But the biggest problem that I was looking at was like, are my current summons going to be just be ass? Are they're completely useless when it comes down to like this new expansion set? So I'm glad they're actually giving you a way for those specific types of people or those specific types of builds that want to use and utilize the summons to be able to utilize them to the extent that they need to be able to be successful in the new expansion. So
for sure.
Yeah, that's dope. I'm glad to hear it. Again, we're gonna be talking a little bit more about some other stuff coming for Elden Ring here in just a few. But yeah, good thumbs up. Good to go.
Yeah, I if you like,
does it have Bill's seal of approval?
$40. Yeah, and last thing, $40 price point, extremely steep.
You think?
This is effectively an Elden Ring 2 type situation.
That's what I was about to say.
In this. It's like 30 to 40 hours of content.
I feel like
alone.
I feel like you get enough content from most of these kinds of expansions from FromSoft, right? That it's like a $40 price tag is actually
they've only
probably
dropped the ball
pretty
really,
fair.
they've only really dropped the ball once on DLC, as far as like amount of content goes. So this is right up there, even if it is the price of a lot of indie games.
Oh, it's got more content than in most indie games out there. So I mean,
yeah.
You know. All right, cool. Yeah, so we're gonna that's Elden Ring. If you're an Elden Ring fan, you're probably gonna get the exact same amount of content out of it, or at least enjoyment out of it that you got out of Elden Ring. It might kick you in the dick a couple of times, but you're gonna and you're gonna live to learn and be better for it.
If you don't get good, that's all you gotta say.
Exactly. Just gatekeep. We're gatekeeping you.
Yep.
But one game that does not gatekeep you at all, because it's a free to play game, might I add, is Zenless Zone Zero. This is a game that both myself and Bill, I think you've probably put more time into this than I have. I got through like the very first initial like little bit of it, and I haven't gotten too much further into it. But
I'm
from what I've played,
7 to 10 hour mark on it.
Yeah, I'm probably at like a half hour to an hour at this point. But from what I have played that hour, I was really impressed with it. Like I knew I was gonna like it when I first saw it. When I first saw like the first gameplay that we saw, just because the art style, it really is. It's like a street art, almost like dystopian, like street art, like cyberpunk-ish kind of. Not really cyberpunk, but more like trying to think of like urban punk or whatever you want to call it.
Urban punk.
Probably just invented that, but yeah, definitely like a street style, like a street graffiti style, and that it just does something to me. It makes the little neurons in my brain go, I like this. This is cool.
And you didn't really play any of Hoyo versus other games. You didn't play
I've played
Genshin
Hoyo.
that much.
No, I put about 12 hours in Genshin. Yeah, I've put about 12 hours in Genshin. I've put about 27 or 30 into what's the other one? Honkai. Yeah. So I've played. I didn't
know that. Okay.
Yeah.
Never mind.
I didn't know this was another Hoyoverse game.
Yep.
Nice.
So
I remember seeing this game, but I forgot about it honestly completely.
Take it away again. You know, I mean, it's one of those. Again, you've played more than I can. I can get through the first little introductory area and like the mechanics of it, which I found were really fun. But I haven't played much further than that.
Yeah, the mechanics, they get a lot deeper than you would expect with this style game. I mean, Genshin has fairly deep live action mechanics with how the characters interact with each other. This one does as well, but in almost a more in-depth way. So if you're not familiar with how Zenless Zone Zero plays exactly, it almost plays like a Devil May Cry style game.
I got big Devil May Cry off of it for sure.
I got that from the guy with the guns, the duel.
I will also point out, I know why Bill likes this game so much. It's because one of the main characters is named Billy. I see you. I see you, Bill.
Yeah, Billy Kid.
Oh, it's perfect. That's hilarious.
Yeah, the dude with the guns is named Billy.
Yeah, Billy Kid. But it's a very fast-paced action style game, a la Devil May Cry. It's a 3-character system, similar to how I think Honkai was 3 characters, and I think Genshin was 3 or 4.
Genshin
it wasn't consecutive.
I see this.
Are you only one person at a time still?
You're one person at a time.
So it's still a fast swap system.
This is
so
I see this.
Can't tell.
I see this more in the lane of like Genshin. The other one, you were a multitude of people, but like it was each individual character you took control of at a specific time. This is like you can swap between them at will, pretty much.
Whenever,
you usually want to. It looks like you're going to want to kind of build that up. So like there was a mechanic inside of it that was like you were building a certain gauge to do like ultimate attacks, and that was when you would swap to do like group ultimate attacks. I think was what it was, some kind of a weird system, but I liked that more than I liked Genshin. Genshin always annoyed me because I felt like I was pressured to have like the most like I'm trying to think of the word, like the best team possible for min-maxed team possible for every encounter. Like
yeah, and I
had to change to this specific character at this specific time, and if I didn't change to that specific time, I was fucked. Like my entire rotation was gone, right? This one doesn't feel that way to me, at least.
No, and it might just be because we're in early game and stuff.
That's very true. Yeah,
gacha games in general all depend on how the end game is
for sure
played out. But as of right now, it doesn't feel that way. There are plenty of incentives to keep you switching between your characters and making it so that you're not just staying on one character the entire time. On top of the combat just being fast paced in general, they've meshed a lot of the mechanics into that character swapping. So once you build up a certain amount of stagger on an enemy, it'll do its thing, and then it'll give you super attacks by swapping to the other characters. That's one mechanic. The parry mechanic of the game is based around character swapping.
Oh, I forgot about the parry mechanic.
Yeah, so enemies will flash gold before an attack that can be parried, and if you swap your character when you see that gold flash, another character will come out and block the attack and cause the enemy to reel back, take a big chunk of stagger damage, and they also counterattack on top of it. And then there's perfect dodges. Not to say this is the Souls-like of gacha games. But
I mean, it is, bro. Every game these days is a Souls-like. We've already confirmed that this is basically Dark Souls. Let's be real.
Yeah.
I was gonna say this game is kind of giving me like a fast-paced like Kingdom Hearts vibe, honestly, with like the aesthetic and like the lock-on like targeting system with everyone going at them. I don't know. I'm getting those vibes for some reason.
I can see it
a little bit. Yeah. For sure.
Like, it's definitely Kingdom Hearts is a lot slower paced, but in some cases, but yeah, no, that I kind of dig it. Is this game open world?
No, it is.
I didn't think so. It's like
there's
zone.
like a hub town area, and then whenever you go into fights, you can either go directly into fights through one mission type, or it opens up like a puzzle grid where you like are navigating through like a squared off grid system. And there's different items that you can get in that system.
I actually thought that system was really cool too. Honestly, like that whole entire like traversal when you're going through the map. I thought that was really unique. I shouldn't say unique because there's been other games that have done it, but not in the way not as well executed as this. Yeah, for sure.
I feel like a pick your own path kind of style.
Kind of, yeah.
Kind of
a little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that's screen puzzles. You're talking about, so
you can branch off on different subject or on different areas that'll have like Bill was about to say, like puzzles, or there'll be like little areas that have like loot locations, as well as like little areas that'll have like encounter spaces. There's always like one specific area that you're gonna have to go to for the ending point. But you can also again, like you can go your own way when it comes down to that. I don't, you can probably tell me a little bit more of this. The longer that you're in there, the worse off the enemy is, right? Like the longer that you're in there, if you take a longer path, it does that enemy presence catch up with you?
It's been alluded to. At least with that first puzzle, that was definitely the case. I have a feeling that mechanic will be implemented in later levels where you need to like quickly and like the most, map out your route through this stuff to be
you need to go through the map as quickly and efficiently as possible, but you also want to like they're going to give you like shinies that you're going to want to go and get, and that you're going to have to weigh like the pros and cons of being able to like, should I go for that and possibly run into the enemy, or should I just go straight for the exit? That's what it felt like to me, at least.
Yeah, that's how it is. But again, this is a gacha game. So characters are the centerpiece of this game. They've done something kind of unique with this one, and the more I'm getting used to it, the more I'm enjoying it. And that is how characters interact with each other and how you like party build. So with other Hoyoverse games, characters always have an element tied to them, right? That is the same with this one. And pairing up characters with the same element will give passive bonuses to those characters. So if there's
that's cool.
It's a 3-party team. If you have 2 characters that are the same damage type, their secondary passives activate. So you'll have that as secondary passive.
It's like gear sets, but just with the characters then.
Yeah, kind of. There's
Kinda.
gear sets as well on top of it.
Okay.
So
I figured that would be a thing too.
yeah, it's a stacking system. But if you don't have characters of the same element, they also have a faction system in this game. So if it's either 2 characters of the same element or 2 characters of the same faction in the same group, that activates those passives for you. So that's kind of how you're wanting to build up your team, either faction based, element based, or a little column A, a little column B.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, I had a lot of fun with it. With the little bit that I did play it, I really enjoyed the animations. Like say what you want. I might be a weeb, and they definitely have their fucking fan service. Let's be real here, right? Like they have a lot of fan service.
I've seen a lot more fan service in this game than the others,
which is surprising considering that Hoyoverse has gotten in trouble for fan service in the past and had to censor some of their characters.
Yeah.
So.
This is definitely, they have their fair share of fan service, but I think like we've seen in the past where it's like the meme of like when you can definitely tell when they paid their animators well. They fucking paid their animators well on this one, dude. Like extremely fucking well. The animations look crisp. They look clean. Everything looks pristine. Bro, like all the movements, the combat movements look fluid as hell, and I think that's one of the biggest things that's gonna kind of rocket this above, like certain other entities that they have, like Genshin or Hoyo, you know, and anything that they have in Hoyoverse. I think that's gonna be their biggest key to success right there is just their animations and their art styles, in my opinion.
I agree, and their storytelling in this, it's very good as well. There's like this style storytelling where it's like still frames of the characters and they're talking back and forth. They've got the comic style storytelling, which I really enjoy how they did the comic style, but they also have like fully rendered live action cutscenes as we're seeing right now, and those cutscenes are ridiculously well animated.
They're gorgeous. Like, it's ridiculous how good that they are. Like I am every one of these like specific cutscenes that I watched, I was just like, this is ridiculous. This is like almost like a movie. Like I feel like I'm watching a full scale anime. Like this is So you can definitely tell that they've put time into it, man. I'm very impressed with it. I'm looking forward to putting more time into it, man. Like I've been really busy the last few weeks or the last few days, so I haven't had as much time to be able to do it, to put any time into really gaming in general, other than a couple of hours into Final Fantasy 14. But I'm looking forward to it, man. I think it's gonna be a good time. This isn't co-op though, is it?
They are adding co-op.
Are they adding it? Okay.
I don't know if it's in the game currently or if you have to get
I don't think it
in
is
the game to access it.
Yeah.
But they are adding a co-op system that's like a raid boss style co-op system. So you'll pair up with other players to go against like bosses in a alternate game mode. So
okay, that's cool. I mean,
I don't know the specifics on how they're going to do it. If it's going to be like Genshin, where when you have co-op people, it's going to reduce the amount of people that you control directly. Considering how much mechanically is built around the swapping system, I don't think they're going to do it that way.
It'll just be your own team versus in their team personally. Yeah, because they do put a lot of emphasis on the actual like team building and everything like that.
They do. They do.
It'll be an interesting one to see how
those raid bosses will just be really hard then.
I would imagine.
Yeah,
so.
That's what I'm. That's what I'm guessing. I think it's going to be raid boss style.
That'd be cool. Yeah. It's free to play.
It is free to play.
You can literally go and download it. Can you correct me if I'm wrong? Did I see that they have intentions of putting this on Steam? Have you heard of anything like that?
That I have no.
Because I thought that I saw something about it going to Steam, but I've also not looked into it enough. I do know that they have their own launcher. It's like the Hoyo launcher, which was the only way that you could get a hold of.
You're going to be able to get it.
Yeah. And I don't think that they've put any of their other games on Steam either. So I would imagine that's
that you can
probably
play it on the
a rumor.
Steam Deck.
I mean, that might have been where it was going. Yeah, that might have been where it was coming from then for sure. This game would be fucking sick on your Steam Deck. Like honestly, this game would be amazing on your Steam Deck. So, yeah. Zenless Zone Zero, go and check it out. Free to play. You're gonna have to if you don't have it on your mobile app or anything like that, you're gonna have to go and download their launcher. But I mean, it's just another
also on consoles.
Yeah, on consoles, it's just another launcher that you're gonna have to download. 2024, the year of the launchers, unfortunately. So
yeah.
anyways, moving on. We're going to move on to something that I've been playing over the past couple of weeks when I can actually play. I know I'm a little late to the party. It's been out for a while. It's been out for like a month and a half almost. I am extremely late to the party, but I've been playing a little bit of Soul Mask. If you guys don't know what Soul Mask is, it's a survival, kind of like I'm trying to Conan Exiles almost. It's like a survival MMO, quote unquote MMO, right?
Was that a parry that you just did?
That is a parry. Yeah, they do have a. It's basically Souls-like. It's basically a Souls-like game. Yeah. So this game has a very interesting system in it, right? Like when it comes down to Conan Exiles has thralls, right? It has that system of you go out, you obtain thralls from the world, you bring them back to your base, and those thralls do things for your base, right? You can go out in the world and get like a crafter that then you can craft like set, like sets of equipment for different factions and everything like that, right? This game has a very similar aspect to that. These enemies that are being fought right now, right? You can technically take over these enemies and bring them back to your base, and each of these enemies has certain things that they can do differently to the other people. There's certain ones that are crafters.
Pow World.
Yeah, basically it's like Souls like Pow World, pretty much. Yeah,
there you go.
Just with humans.
Yeah,
but yeah, each individual one of these has certain things that it can do better than others. There's crafters, there's gatherers, there's hunters, there's warriors. The thing that this game in particular has in different from Conan Exiles is that there's a system inside of this game that your main character can actually take control of these thralls, right? So like you have this mask that you level up that has different abilities, and that boosts stats when you level it up and boosts experience gains and everything like that. You don't really play the game as the character that you've made at the start, right? The entire idea of it is like your starting character is basically the leader of the tribe, and then once you get a tribe, you basically go out and scout out thralls or tribesmate as they say in this one. You scout out tribesmates that have like decent combat mechanics to them, like better combat skills to them, and then you use those specific tribesmen to go out and take on the world, take on the content in the world. Which is very unique when it comes down to these kind of types of games, because most of the time when it comes down to it, you're leveling your own character, and then the tribesmen are kind of like backup characters for you, right? Those are right. your people that you leave back at base, and they do all the shit that you really don't want to do, right? In this game, that is the case, that you still do that, but you actually have to like put in the work to find a thrall to be able to go out and take on these big bosses, these big bases and everything like that are out in the world. So it does have Souls-like tendencies when it comes down to that. They have like a lock-on system, they have a parry system, they have a dodge system, they have a rolling system, everything like that. And they do have.
Assuming if your thrall dies, you lose that thrall.
For in the very early game, there is a way to later on in the game, once you've gotten to a certain point of progression, you can actually revive thralls if they've died. But yeah, very early in the game, if a thrall dies, you're screwed.
You just got to replace him.
You just got to replace him. Yeah. So yeah. It's very, very imperative that you do find thralls that are very good, but like I said, they're very kind of throwaway at the start of the game. When it comes down to that kind of stuff. So it's an enjoyable time. I've actually quite enjoyed my time with it. It's in early access. And the best part about this game is like there's just so much content to it, dude. Like they have so much in the game for early access. I've been impressed with how much content is actually in the game. I've known people that have put 200-300 hours in the game and still aren't finished with it, right? And this is early access. They're still adding things into the game. They're still adding bosses. They're still adding masks, everything like that. In fact, they just did a new update, or they're doing a new update upcoming, where they've heard the community. The community has kind of come out and been like, hey, we don't like the fact that our main characters are useless. Because once you find a thrall like this, right, your main character, you never touch your main character anymore, right? Unless your thrall dies and you have to resurrect back into your main character, right? So all of the community kind of went in an uproar and were like, we want our main character to be able to do stuff other than just sit back at base and be a waste of space, essentially. Yeah.
Craft and shit. Yeah.
Right.
So the developers actually came out today and were like, yeah, this is why we wanted to go into early access, was to see what our community wanted. And we hear what you guys are saying. This is what we're going to change. We're going to make it so that your main character can actually level up further than it was. Previously, it was locked to I think 40, which is skill levels, right? And where main thralls, actual thralls, I think can go up to 90 if I'm not mistaken, maybe more. So yeah, it was definitely a huge handicap if you were like, I want to play just my character, right?
Right.
You were screwing yourself over hardcore. So that's
probably more my style too.
Yeah, I mean that's more my style as well, for sure. So they're kind of trying to push that a little bit, and they've fully come out and said basically, hey, whatever, we do listen to the community. So if there's something that you guys think is something that would work well for the game, just let us know. We will do our best. They've already stated that, again, like I said, they want to put in more masks. Each individual mask, I don't know how many there are, but I think there's quite a few. I think there's 9 masks in the game, plus or minus, give or take. And each of those individual masks does different things. So there's a mask for people that like to do ranged combat, right? So Struffy, I know you like to do like bows and arrows and everything like that. That mask is for you because it actually gives you better damage when it comes down to using bows and spears and everything like that. There's a mask that makes it so that if you're the kind of person that wants to have thralls, have a lot of thralls and take thralls out to go on combat with you, there's a mask that boosts your thralls health and damage output and everything like that. So
yeah,
that's cool.
Now I really don't want to poo-poo on a game that you're enjoying or anything, or others are enjoying, but I mean, the combat to me is just looking a bit rough around the edges. It's looking a bit disjointed, specifically the melee combat, and maybe I'm just seeing the hammer right now gameplay with, but also I've seen some of the dual scimitars. And it's just especially the finishers just seem so out of place in it all. They take away from the actual flow of the combat.
It can be, yeah. There are certain combat, there are certain,
and it's early access, so
I'm hoping that they'll iron that out a little bit, because there is the dual blade has an attack that I think we just saw. It was when he jumped up in the air and then he did a spin, right?
Yeah.
But if you're locked on, it also kind of jars you and flips your.
And now that
Holy
the game
crap, that dude's fast.
Looks cool and everything, it looks good, but that right there, it would dissuade me so much from playing this game right in its current state. I mean, viewing standpoint,
it's not for everybody. I will say it isn't for everybody. There is definitely a little bit of a jarring effect when it comes down to the combat. I think the hammer is the worst right now. It does feel bad. The hammer feels I think the worst. I think the next one that I'm really not a fan of is the dual handed sword, the big sword.
Yeah.
That one feels
the bow combat really seems all right. But
yeah.
To me, that's pretty simple.
How's the stability of the game? Is it buggy? Is it pretty
honestly
stable?
for an early access game? This kind of reminds me of almost like Valheim. When it released, there was just a ton of content to do, and it was a solid release. There wasn't a ton of bugs or issues really. I do know that my friend Vexer was having a little bit of an issue recently. He got to the first dungeon. And when he went into the first dungeon, I can't remember what it was that he was having an issue with, but it deleted progress. It just forgot that he had progressed in certain aspects of the game. So he actually had to completely redo his. I mean, he didn't have to. He got out of it and was able to get everything back. But anytime he would enter back into that dungeon, there was some kind of a situation that would happen. So he went and got a server and just restarted from that point forward. I do believe that they've fixed that bug. I haven't really heard of too many people having a ton of issues. The biggest complaints that I've heard of so far is again the not being able to use your main character, which a lot of people were not happy with, just because not just because the fact that it's your main character, but the fact that your main character doesn't do anything. So if you're not using it, it's literally just somebody sitting in your base not doing anything. They don't get up, they don't move around. They're just literally wherever you parked them. that's where they're at. And they don't do anything. So it's one of those situations where it was like, it's just a waste of space essentially in my base. But other than that, I think that I think I paid $30 for it, 30 or 40. I can't remember how much it is exactly. Let me go and check. For the amount, 30. Yeah, it's $29.99. For $29.99, you can get hours and hours, hundreds of hours worth of content. If you're a fan of these types of games, like the survival MMORPGs like this style, you can get hundreds of hours worth of content off of this early access game easily without issue.
It's not only a first of the developer Campfire Studio, it's also a first for the publisher.
Yes. Yep.
Coolan Games. So
yep, and they've been doing a really good job with it, man. I've been thoroughly impressed. So yeah.
Hell yeah.
Soul Mask.
I wish them the best.
$29.99 on Steam. Go and check it out if this looks like something that you would enjoy. I think it's worth it. I really do. So, Scruffy. We're moving into.
Hey.
What was this again? Frag Punk? Yeah, Frag Punk.
Just Frag Punk.
I'm excited to hear your take on this one because I've
have
seen
you played?
Good things about it. No, I have not.
I'm sorry, your face is a little cut off there, Boo Boo.
Oh, that's all good. Yeah, so here we have Frag Punk. This game is not out yet, and there is currently no release date. It is a first-person tactical shooter.
It's a first-person. First-person tactical shooter.
First person.
It's like a CS:GO or a Valorant, right?
You got it exactly. So it's that like bomb defusal 5v5 tactical shooter. Though the twist with this, it's a bit more close to Valorant. Yeah, they showed it in the summer Games Fest.
This remind. I was watching you and Sin play this. This reminds me of like Valorant meets Dirty Bomb almost. Like very close to Dirty Bomb.
Exactly how I had put it. Yeah. It's very, very cool how they do it. And I say it's closer to Valorant because it's a hero shooter.
It's
you still have like
closer
heroes.
To Valorant. Yeah.
You know, the only similarity to CS:GO is the actual base game arena, you know, the bomb defusal type situation. So, yeah, the twist with this game though, there's a few twists actually, but the main one and the whole actual like draw to the game is the cards you draw. Every round, you and your team can vote and draw three random cards out of your deck and your teammates' decks. And so you can then vote for what cards to be applied to that round specifically, and that the cards that get put into play will then add modifiers to your round. So you'll have cards say that if we vote for one, it'll add a group of like 3 or 4 bots on our team that'll get sent out into the map, or another one where if you die, you turn into zombies.
That's
so you have like another extra life.
The one that I saw was when you, I think it was you and Sin, or it might have just been Sin and his kid were playing. He was telling his kid, his kid was like, I'm gonna die, and he was like, don't worry about it, just come back and kill somebody.
yeah. So it has a whole new dynamic, and there's so many cards. There's at least over like 50 or something. I was still learning them by the end of the play test. And there's more simple, like just grounded ones too, that are like just simply like longer distance. You get more damage at longer distance or close distance, or the biggest one was enemies have bigger heads, which oh my god, I cannot stand getting that played against you. Oh, you were screwed. I
saw that. I was like, what the hell is going on right now? Like, are we back in the GoldenEye days?
Real controversial cards too, like on both sides. So there's a card where you can pretty much relocate your bomb site. So you're on defense, you have an A and a B site, you can get relocation card and get that, and then you can take those bomb sites and put them wherever you want on the map. You run to it, you hold on it, you take it in your hand, and you can put it, but in the thing that everyone does just puts it right at your spawn. You could literally just put it at your spawn.
That's crazy.
On the contrary, it adds like 30 seconds of playtime for the enemies to get there though too.
And then at least it's a little bit less unfair on that point.
Yeah, but also attackers have a card very similar where you can then plant the bomb wherever you want. You don't need a bomb site to plant the bomb.
Oh, interesting.
So both sides have that chance. So there is also an RNG mechanic into that. That adds on top of simply what cards you get. But with RNG being said, there's a way to kind of alleviate it a little bit because there's relics. And relics, you can pick one relic per game it'll lock for the entire game. Each person gets a chance to pick one, and so like one of them is like you can re-roll a card for free every round, or you get more points to spend by getting more kills, or there's more that I can't think of. It's playtest ended about 15 days ago, so you know I'm going off my memory here.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, honestly, dude, I want this game back right now. It was a blast. Like, it really scratched an itch that Valorant didn't.
Yeah.
And I thought Valorant would, because I was a big fan of CS:GO for a long time, you know. And Valorant came out, I was like, yeah, that's got to be it. But no, Valorant wasn't it. But this to me is just like, it feels good. It came out in a state that actually hit registration is there, tick rate is there, you know. Looking at you, X Defiant. It's like,
can you wall bang or anything?
Certain walls. What you're seeing there is ricochet shots.
Oh, okay.
That's kind of cool. Okay.
Yep. That was a pretty expensive card too.
That was one question that I kind of had for Sin when he was playing it. I wasn't trying to be an ass or anything like that. I was genuinely curious, like, what would cause somebody to play this over Valorant? Like, is it literally just the card system, do you think?
I think so. I think the card system adds a whole nother dynamic into it. I did get a wall bang hit with that sniper there.
Yeah.
Little flick too.
Because when I was watching him play it, I was like, this literally like first impressions.
It screams Valorant.
Yeah, I was just like, when I first came in, I was like, he's literally just, this is Valorant. What the hell is he talking? And then I saw the card system. I was like, oh. Okay,
yeah, it's a big twist.
That's kind of cool.
A big twist to really set it apart. And not only that too, also I forgot to mention, each of the cards, like Hearthstone, have mana costs, but in this game it's just points or whatever. I don't know what they call them, but you collect points, like I said, through kills and assists, and you can also collect them on the ground periodically. So there's a way to get those points in each card. Like the higher tier cards will be more expensive, obviously. So
now, what is this? Choose the position in the duel. What is this?
Exactly what I was going to get to. The game is overtime. It's overtime now, 3-3. It goes best of 7. And so this right here is at overtime. You and your other teammates all pick a position 1 through 5, and the other team is also doing the same thing. They're also picking 1 through 5 positions, and then it turns into 1v1 battles.
It's a 1v1.
It turns into 1v1 battles.
That's awesome.
So you have to win through the entire thing. You have to kill all 5 of them, or you know, your teammates have to all win their battles. The coolest thing though is it's almost like a gauntlet style. So say I am in position 1, where I am in this game. I go up against their position 1. I win, and I win with like 50 health. I then go into that second game. I go, and now I'm facing their position 2.
With
and if I win
health.
that,
do you heal?
This character I can heal. You don't heal any other time. You can't heal, but this character I'm playing, I actually can heal. So that's the one reason I pick him. So I'm at an advantage in that part. But everyone can still use all their other abilities and whatnot.
It's like it feels almost like the gulag from what's it called?
Exactly, but just a bit more top of it.
Yeah.
Because like I said, it's like gauntlet. You can just run the gauntlet and just keep shredding. And I showed this clip specifically because that's exactly what I did. It was probably my proudest moment.
Got to make yourself look good, right?
Run the gauntlet.
I ran the gauntlet. I started on the first 1v1 and went all the way through all 5 of them.
That's dope.
My friends were freaking out, dude. It was a highlight for sure, and that really just solidified my love with this game. Like, I love 1v1s. I love that like tense, like, you know, it's just you and another person, and I almost want to go into overtimes because of this. You know,
that's really cool.
So it's a really cool
this
overtime mechanic to have.
This seemed like it seemed like I'm not a shooter fan. Like I like them. I'm not very good at them. And when it came down to like Valorant, I was just like, this just seems like a even worse version of Counter-Strike, and I suck at Counter-Strike. Like when it comes down to like positions and having to know exactly where the peaking zones and everything is, you know, and I've never been good at that. So this actually does look really cool. I do want to play it, but at the same time, I'm like, I would suck at this game. I would.
It's much like Valorant. It's got a lot going on. There's a learning curve because you also have now the card mechanics to learn as well on top of the heroes to learn. So
I do like the graphics as well, like the street art,
the flashy
graffiti and everything like that. Yeah, I really that kind of
Borderlands vibes.
Almost
for sure.
Yeah, kind of
for sure. Yeah,
I kind of had the same issue, or not the same issue, but the same thought when it came down to it. I was like, man, this does remind me of like, again, like Borderlands meets like Dirty Bomb meets Valorant 100%. Yeah.
It's so cool, man. And so, like I said, they don't have a release date. From what I hear, it's coming out 2025 sometime. Reception was great from what I hear. A lot of
people, dude, like there were tons of people that were fucking streaming it the day that it was open. The day that Sin was watching, or the day I was watching Sin, I think they had like 90,000 people watching live or something like that across like 3 or 4 different huge streamers.
Dude, so the game ran great too. Like no hiccups. I had none. Though I had a few in-game bugs, which I actually reported and had one of the developers on the Discord come back and reply to me and say thanks for letting us know and everything. So their feedback is great. Their communication is great. It's really promising. Now something I didn't know, and I don't remember. Bad Guitar Studio is the developer and publisher, but I guess they're a subsidiary of NetEase, so that's something. So
might have to take my interest back on that one.
Did not know that. But I'm shocked from that. I'm also like,
bro,
NetEase has been coming out with like these games that are like, they just seem like they're ready to go.
That's what I was about to say, is like when it comes down to like Marvel Heroes or whatever the one was. Like between that one between that one and this one, I'm like, dude, like NetEase has actually been putting out some like decent content recently, which is crazy to me.
Right?
It's gonna be free to play. As long as NetEase can just stick with it and not like get greedy or anything. And honestly, I won't even like Naraka. I think I only had bad blood with Naraka for like just the game in general. I don't think they really screwed up Naraka at all.
The character select screen with like the skins and stuff looks like it was taken straight out of Naraka and they just changed the background.
Probably.
Probably. Yeah. And Pika in chat, I appreciate your information with that NetEase find, because I didn't know that even while playing the playtest.
Yeah.
But they're just like this Marvel Rivals and a bunch of other games, like they're coming out with like these playtests.
Been doing good, man.
Like, they're like finished products, I feel like.
The biggest issue that I have with it is I'm just like, I'm cool with it, and if they can give me some decent content, that's fine, but like they haven't done that great for me in the past, so I'm a little hung up on that. But if they can release a good game and not fuck it up in any way, shape, or form,
that's all I ask. Yeah, hey, man. They have a solid product right here. Yeah, so yeah, no release date, like I said, 2025 sometime. I really just, like I said, I feel like it's finished. I hope they just push it forward. I really do.
Would be nice, man.
It would be. I'd play it in its current state. They have 10 released Lancers, which is what they call their operators, and their plan was, I think, 20. There was like a achievement saying like buy up to 20 Lancers or something like that. So
interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's already a big catalog. Yeah.
I mean,
sure.
and again, I hate to sound like a broken record, but we go back to Marvel Rivals. Like, I was impressed with how many heroes Marvel Rivals had. So like that. Yeah. That they're doing good work, man. I'm actually really impressed with NetEase, which I never thought I would say. I never thought I would say that about NetEase.
Maybe a redemption arc. I don't know. It's something.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's Fragpunk. So
dope. Yep. Well, that is everything that we've been playing over the past couple weeks. I know it's not a lot. We have had a little bit of a stressful time when it comes down to playing actual video games. We will get back to it. I think we've done a good job with it. So
other than that, I'm just playing Rocket League, and nobody, I don't need to talk about Rocket League.
We're just playing the same old. If I had gotten into the new expansion for Final Fantasy 14, I probably would have talked about that as well. But unfortunately, I am still very far into the last expansion. I never completed the last expansion. I know I'm a terrible Final Fantasy 14 player, right? I know, bad, but we'll get there. We'll get there. So that is everything for what we've been playing. Let's move into the news, shall we?
Hell yeah.
Yep.
Let me pull this up. There we go. I had the wrong thing up. There we go. Hey, we're back. I know how to work my computer.
Whoa.
So, if you guys have been under a rock the last couple weeks, you'll know that, or I guess the last couple months, Xbox has not been doing that great. Obviously, right? We've been talking bad about them a little bit ever since their release of a couple of studios and everything like that. I guess they're trying to change Game Pass. They're trying to add new. What was it exactly?
And so they're adding a standard tier, and that is to replace like Xbox Core, basically. And what it does is it gives you the back catalog of games, it gives you online, but it does not give you day one releases.
Huh.
And it's going to be like the $15, like what old Ultimate used to be.
Okay.
So
sorry, I had to fix something really quickly.
And then Ultimate is getting a price increase of about $3.
And
interesting.
And literally nothing changes with it. It's the same Ultimate.
It's just a price hike.
Yeah. And then PC is getting a $2 price hike?
$2, yes.
Yeah, and literally nothing changes with that either.
Yeah.
So
that's really weird, man.
They're adding a tier for back catalog and then increasing the price on everything else. The only thing that's changed is Call of Duty going on Game Pass. So
yeah,
maybe
that's why.
I don't know, man.
If you don't like Call of Duty, then you're just getting dicked over.
Yeah,
so.
This seems like a really I'm usually pretty open to this kind of stuff because I do think that the Game Pass is a decent, like it's a decent when it comes down to like investment time versus money investment. There's a lot you can get off of Game Pass if they're moving a lot of that stuff and like I'm not even talking about like day ones. Just the amount of content that you get with Game Pass is worth at least $14 a month. But
as much as I dislike this change, Game Pass is still, in my opinion, the best gaming subscription service on the market right now. Which is 100%. Probably why they increased the price on it, because they know they
know they can. Yeah. The biggest issue I have with it is just like when's too much. Like Philly boy, it's getting to a point where like if you're just gonna dig into my pocket and take my money, just do it, bro. Just don't fucking like just hold me at gunpoint and be like, give me all your money, bro. Like at this point, it's getting to like we've had what, like have we had another one recently? I thought that we had another.
We've had 2 Game Pass price hikes recently.
That's what I thought.
Within at least the last couple of years, we've had 2 Game Pass.
That's what I thought. Hikes. Yeah. They first off, they took away the fact that you could it was $1. So which I knew that was going to happen regardless. We already knew that was going to happen once things started getting more popular.
It was back during the trial, like the FTC thing, which we commented, why the hell would they increase the price during this?
Yeah. I don't know. To me, it is getting to that point where it's just like when is too much. Like honestly, that's not just for Game Pass as well. Like that's for every like that's for PlayStation every Plus. Service. That's for Netflix, fucking Ubisoft Spotify, Plus, EA, everything. Spotify, everything. It's getting to the point where it's like you guys are literally serving us digital content. What the fuck do you mean you need more money? It was fine before. I get that like, you know, space for like actually serving people with like a server and everything like that. It's getting expensive to upkeep and everything like that. But like, I don't know, man. I take that into consideration whenever you actually open up your service and don't jack us over when it comes to like prices left and right.
Yeah, it's a weird thing, man. And this is the kind of power they get with buying up IPs and studios and then throwing them into the Game Pass. That's how they're justifying the price hikes. I guarantee Call of Duty is the biggest justification that they're going to give for
without a doubt
the ultimate price hike.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. We saw.
I didn't think about that, but that totally makes sense.
We saw rumors back. When did we report on that? Where we were there was a rumor that they were going to have like a Call of Duty tier.
Tier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think that ever got.
They didn't do that.
Yeah, I don't think that ever got confirmed. But I wouldn't be surprised if they did it. I really would.
We got a no Call of Duty tier with the standard.
That is true.
Thing
that is very true. I did also see that they have canceled the ability to so when it came down to like being an insider, a Windows insider, you got points, like certain points, and I think you got it through like doing stuff with Bing, like doing Bing searches and everything like that. They had points that you could actually like turn into be able to turn into Xbox Game Pass subscriptions. They've removed that. You can no longer do that apparently. So that was
confirm those Bing searches anymore.
Yeah, that was a big hit for some people because I do know a couple of people that have used those.
So they're not getting rid of Core. Core is going to be a tier below standard. And Core is a select library with no day one.
No
games.
game one.
But also games, standard's also not day one either.
Yeah, so right? Standard and Core are no day one games. Standard gives you the full catalog. Core just gives you a select catalog and online play. It's remaining $9.99 monthly, but they have reduced the discount you get for buying the yearly re-up from $59.99, which is what it was, up to $74.99. So 25 more bucks if you buy a year subscription to it. So you're not getting nearly. That's the exact same thing that Sony did when they increased PlayStation Plus's price. They didn't change the monthly on it. They just changed the yearly.
Yeah, the big savings.
I have seen a lot of people that were complaining that they're on Twitter. Obviously, it's a cesspool of Xbots and Sony ponies over there. I saw a lot of people, a lot of Xbots that are just like, you guys complain about when Xbox does this, but you were like, yes, shower me with more, please. I will pay you more when it comes down to like the PlayStation Plus catalog and all the changes that they had recently. I'm just like, dude, stop. Get some help. Yeah. Like, all of us are paying more for games that we shouldn't have to pay more for. This is ridiculous. Come on.
Yeah. So.
No matter how you look at it, everybody is getting shafted in the end. But yeah,
I feel like it's just Ultimate's overinflated. I'm looking at all the stuff.
I think it is too.
You get Xbox Online. You get EA Play, which I personally don't give a shit about.
Who
EA
fucking
Play.
uses that? I mean,
not many do.
And you get the cloud gaming.
Yeah. And you get day ones for the Ultimate, right?
Yeah.
That's really the biggest.
Cloud gaming and does not get day one.
I think that's the biggest point that they have right there is just the day ones with the amount of games that they're coming out with in 2025. I think that's their biggest sell point right there is just the fact that you're not going to get day ones on standard, right? And that's the FOMO is going to kick in for people.
I wish they would have announced like how long they're going to keep games off of day ones before they get added to the Game Pass catalog.
Now that you bring that up, I would be interested to see that too.
I would how long it'd be a 6 month to a year.
Yeah, how long does PlayStation do it? It's 6 months, right? 6 months to a year, usually, roughly.
It's usually about a year.
Yeah,
that's wild.
If they even add it to PlayStation Plus at all.
Yeah,
that's so long not to have a game.
Yeah,
that's crazy. Yeah. Well. Another shitty thing that Microsoft has been doing, Hellblade 2 sales not looking too great. They released some information recently.
This makes me so sad.
It makes me sad too, man, because it's one of those situations of like this could have been their golden egg when it came down to like this generation.
This could have been their God of War competition.
100%. Yeah, this could have been their big move when it came to their failures with Halo and everything like that. This could have been their console seller if it had just
ultimately,
been a little bit better.
Microsoft let Sentinel down like big time. They really did not do a service to advertise it whatsoever.
Yeah, it's crazy.
They didn't advertise it
at all. Yeah,
that's
at all.
That's the problem. They gave it the Hi-Fi Rush treatment.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it was not as well received.
Hopefully they don't give it the full Hi-Fi Rush treatment.
Hi-Fi Rush, yeah, hopefully not. But Hi-Fi Rush was like a first in the IP, So like it was kind of like a shock. Like everyone's like, what's this new game and everything? But Hellblade 2, like that was a continuation. Like that should have been advertised. The hype was there for Hellblade 1. Use that hype, to forward it to Hellblade 2. That was the move.
The Hellblade story is fucking wild, though. Like, not like the game story, but like the development from like
cycle.
1 to 2.
Yeah.
Considering Hellblade 1 originally wasn't even fucking on the Xbox.
Yeah.
Until like a year or so later.
Yeah. So
and then they buy the exclusive rights to it, and it
screw it over
for 2. Yeah.
Yeah. So Hellblade 2, just so you guys are aware, Hellblade 2 underperformed in sales. I think it hit rank 37 in May on the Xbox. I think it's the Xbox. It's not the global, but it's like the Xbox global charts. It hit 37 in May and 37 in May, and then it was 21st on the Xbox Series consoles. So that's rough. Like this was their baby essentially. So it didn't even hit top 10.
And that means that the Game Pass sales or the Game Pass plays were not good either.
Either they weren't good or because does I wonder if that takes into consideration like just sales, or if it takes into consideration actual like player
I'm pretty
sure
numbers. That 21st on Xbox Series consoles takes into account Game Pass and purchases.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah,
I'm looking through here just to see. But either way, like even ranking 21st on Xbox on the Xbox Series is rough. That is
definitely
like not even hitting top 10, and this was supposed to be their big title, right?
Yeah,
I don't know, man.
And we reported on how poorly it was doing on Steam,
we did.
It upsets me that Xbox, it's not faring much better.
Yeah, peak concurrent players are dwindling over the weeks. It failed to enter the top 100 European sale charts. Do we even want to look at like what the what the current player base is on that?
I'll do it just for
Ninja Theory's lackluster marketing likely contributed to Hellblade's 2 disappointing sale performance. I don't think that that's true, honestly. I mean, you can definitely blame Ninja Theory's not marketing it for a portion of it, but at the same time, like that's also on Xbox in my mind. Like again, this was supposed to be a big title for Xbox. This should have been
the whole reason they purchased it, dude.
Yeah, Xbox has a responsibility as a publisher to advertise games.
Yeah,
100%.
That's the publisher's fucking job.
Yeah,
legit.
So to say that Ninja Theory's lackluster marketing, yeah, I do agree with you. They probably should have put a little bit more into marketing, but like that, they share blame with Xbox. Like Xbox and Microsoft should have taken a little bit of the blame on that too.
Yeah, that would have been like if Hi-Fi Rush had failed, blaming Bethesda for lackluster marketing.
Right.
96 player peak in the last 24 hours, 47 playing right now.
Ouch. I didn't want to look at that. We shouldn't have looked at that. We shouldn't have looked at that. That's rough. Oh,
in the last week, it's broke 100 concurrent players twice, 104 and 112.
That's really sad, dude.
It's sitting right around the 50 player mark most of the time.
That's really sad. And I've heard that it was a really good story, but like I think that just the time, like I've heard it's only like 4 hours for the main story. But
it's
but
short.
like
The combat is dumbed down from the original, from what I understand,
for sure,
too, which is disappointing. I heard the puzzles are great. I heard the story is great.
I feel like 2 should have been a continuation. I think I have that same issue that I had with like Ragnarok, right? Where I was like, I think that more things should have been changed at Ragnarok. It shouldn't have just been a copy paste with a different skin. I think that they should have done more for this. I think that with the success that Hellblade 2 Senua's Saga, or the Hellblade Senua's Saga, whatever the first one was called, Hellblade 1, with the success that had, I think that they should have pushed for a little bit more in Hellblade 2. And I don't know if that's I don't know if that's on Ninja Theory or if that's on Xbox, or if that's a combination of both. Maybe Xbox just didn't push very hard. Maybe Ninja Theory just didn't think that was going to be a requirement. Maybe they just felt like the first one was good enough.
Feels like Xbox doesn't oversee like projects very well.
They're too hands off almost, and
they're
this
very
definitely
hands
felt
off.
like they were wanting to go for a cinematic experience with gameplay being a secondary component to it, which they succeeded in, but
they did succeed.
Gamers like it. No,
just wasn't the draw.
It's like the Order. That is the closest thing I can compare this to, is how the Order performed. It was beautiful, story was good, but it was short, and the gameplay was secondary to the story.
Yeah, for sure. Right. It's sad to see, and I really am. We talked about it before, where we were saying that we hope that Ninja Theory doesn't get the Hi-Fi Rush treatment. I really do hope that's not the case. Like, I really do hope that Xbox and Microsoft will look at this and be like, well, it's still salvageable. We can survive with it. Let's just push for Hellblade 3 if there is going to be a Hellblade 3, being a little bit more,
or just whatever's next.
Yeah,
or let Ninja Theory do what they do best with a lot of their other stuff. Bring back some of their old IPs, or maybe a fresh one.
Yeah, that would be a good one.
Yeah.
But anyways, well, hopefully we'll see something with it. Moving on to new IPs, Black Myth Wukong, apparently delayed on Xbox Series X and S for unknown reasons. I mean, I'm sure that we can probably look at reasons. Xbox Series S and X are not the best when it comes to like performance on these games recently.
Specifically the S. The S holds that entire console generation back.
Yeah.
This isn't the first time that a game has been delayed. Baldur's Gate 3, for instance, was delayed specifically because of the S.
That's right. Yeah.
So
yeah, I mean, this is kind of sad to see, because just I feel like, again, now this is coming out on both consoles, right? This is coming out on Xbox and PlayStation, right?
I believe,
so, This is one of those ones that, like, I don't know, maybe this is controversial. I think that this needs to be on both consoles day one for it to be successful on both consoles.
Yeah, but Sony's not going to get punished for Xbox's incompetence.
And they should. Yeah, they should.
No, they shouldn't. Yeah.
No, there's no. I'm not stating that it should be delayed across all. I'm just stating that
it's gonna hurt them more. You're saying, not releasing a day one on both.
Just like Baldur's Gate hurt Xbox big time. That could have been a huge release on Xbox, and they dropped the ball on it big time.
Yeah. I think that
delayed
Xbox
for optimization is the reason that they're giving, which lines up with the S being.
I think,
an issue.
Man, I feel like we never had. I was gonna say, I feel like in the past we've not had so many delays for optimization in the past, like generations of consoles to next.
Blame
like
the S.
It's really wild to see.
It's because the last
step above the Xbox One.
It's because the last generation didn't. I mean, it did have a console
leap, but
it did have a console leap. But like the fact of the matter is that we're still pushing these lower end consoles. We're still trying to develop these higher end games for these lower end consoles, and it just there's no way that they can work.
It's not meshing. It's not.
There's no way that they can work on it, man. It's like
dumbing down the final product. It's making the next gen console not worth the pickup.
It's like it's all. I equate it to like Cyberpunk being released on the last generation. There was no fucking way that game was going to run on last generation. Like it barely ran on the current generation.
They just wanna go that route to optimize sales through all consoles. Is that like
it's probably more of a factor of like they want to give the option for people to have like an Xbox, but they don't. If the people don't want to pay the full Xbox price, they can get that discless entry and everything like that. I don't know. I'm just riffing on that. I don't know if that's the reason necessarily. I assume that's why, but I don't know.
Because at this point, new gen consoles are as affordable as old gen was at the time of release. So for
the most part,
I feel like upgrading is easier than just I don't know. I just don't see. I feel like the push should just be release games on new consoles, and there'd be more of a drive for people to get new consoles as they're a little bit more affordable now, as well as games would come out better.
Well, I also think we're looking at the start of the end for the consoles, in my opinion, right? Like we've already seen the fact that Xbox really isn't pushing for new consoles, right? They don't really give a shit about the console war anymore. So I don't know if that factors into it at all or anything like that, but I would assume it's a little bit to do with it, maybe. But I'm not entirely sure.
I'm surprised I haven't seen more people conspiracy theorying that PlayStation bought out the early access for this one.
Oh wow, yeah, man.
Because even with a delayed for optimization, there's people that are going to try to throw Sony
of course
one way or the other.
Yeah. Again, it's the Sony ponies and the Xbox and then the bullshit war that they have going. Just give it up, guys. It doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah. But
anyways, yeah, it's being delayed. Unfortunately,
on this one.
They did give a statement. This is from Game Science, I believe. We are currently optimizing on Xbox Series X and S versions to meet our quality standards, so it won't be released simultaneously with the other platforms. We apologize for the delay and aim to minimize the wait for Xbox users. We will announce the release date as soon as it meets our quality standards. So we don't have a release date for when it's coming out, it looks like, unfortunately.
Not for that one. For PC and PlayStation, it's August 20th.
Yeah. So they also say we're excited to launch for the launch of Black Myth Wukong on Xbox Series X and are working with Game Science to bring. I think this is Xbox that are stating this.
Yeah.
They're working with Game Science to bring the game to our platforms. We can't comment on the details made by our partners with other platform holders, but we remain focused on making Xbox the best platform for gamers, and great games are the center of that.
Well, what's that there at the bottom there? Exclusivity deal or Xbox Series S issue? Is that?
Yeah, I think that's just.
Is that what we were talking about?
It's
well, shit.
Speculation. Okay. I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just
you were right.
Yeah. So it's there's going to be rumors that go around no matter what. So that sucks. Hopefully they get it out quickly.
It does. Yeah, they need to, because this is going to be a huge one.
Anyways, Elden Ring DLC. We were talking a little bit about that before. Apparently 80% of the game's initial launch came back.
Yeah, so the 80% of the initial launch player count came back. That's not saying that 80% of the players bought the DLC.
It just means that they came back to play the game.
Yeah, after buying said DLC.
Yeah, the hype for the game, probably because servers were going to be populated, probably because people wanted to literally gatekeep the DLC by invading people outside of the DLC.
Oh my god!
Be
there you go.
Moog's warden.
If anything, that's sin. That's
I was about to say, if anything, that's what he would do.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought that was a pretty impressive number, considering most DLCs don't bring that kind of attention back to a game in post. And I looked it up, and it looks like where was it? Looks like 34% of no, that's I'll look it up. That was the percent of players that haven't beaten Moog at the time of the DLC's release, and
that's one thing that I would like to look at is to see how many of these players coming back were actually able to defeat Moog and get into the actual expansion. That would be I would be curious to see about that, just to kind of put to rest that final little tit for tat.
Yeah.
So I'm pulling up the Steam charts from I don't know when this was exactly. It was probably about 5 days ago. It looks like all-time 24-hour peak was 632,363. At that time, there was 341,269, and the all-time peak for the last 2 years was 953,426. So, yeah, I think they're doing pretty good.
Definitely on release.
They're doing pretty damn good. Yeah.
I think they're doing all right.
Yeah,
Elden Ring DLC seems to be doing pretty well for them.
And I don't know if we had it in here, but do you think this return was partially due to that update they gave and that balancing kind of?
It very well could be.
That's what we're talking about. Yeah, Elden Ring DLC difficulty officially lowered after recent outrage. This is what we were talking about a little bit while you're kind of going through your gameplay and everything like that. I don't know how to feel about this, because like I feel like on one instance I've never.
It's not blatantly lowered though. That's the thing.
Is it not? Is it not like really lowered, or?
Well, it's just Bill could explain it best. It's the way they went around it is not just a blatant nerf across the board or anything. So Bill, take it.
Yeah, so they changed the numbers on the scatter tree fragments so that by the end of the game, they're only going to be slightly more powerful than they were when the game launched. I think they went from 2%, like 2 times, to like a 2.05 or something like that. So you're only getting a little bit stronger by the game's end than you were in base DLC launch. They just kind of changed the distribution curve so that the earlier levels of the scattered tree fragments are more impactful than what the later levels are. So they shifted some of that power from the mid game to the early game and then it kind of levels out into the end game.
A good balance. That honestly,
that
makes
how
a DLC should run. That's how any game should run.
That makes me less salty a little bit, because I'm just sitting there thinking to myself, like, this is the company that like has always come out when like the games journos were like, it's too hard, I can't do anything. They were just like, get better. Sorry.
It's so they didn't just blatantly suck up to all of the outrage or anything.
That's good.
None of the bosses actually got directly nerfed from any of this. They didn't buff anything with the intent of that. They did nerf some weaponry that was blatantly overpowered and not working as intended, but overall it was just a shift in the power scale on how the power is going to increase throughout the course of the DLC. So you'll be a little bit stronger early, and then it falls off later.
Which I think is a great way to go about it.
Is it noticeable though? Like, is it a blatant noticeable like increase or decrease?
It's noticeable in the fact that there's definitely less frustration in those like first few encounters. It for a lot of builds could potentially be enough to prevent you from getting like 1 or 2 shots by things. So maybe an additional hit in a boss fight. As far as the damage goes, kind of noticeable, but not to the point that it's game changing. From
it just makes it too easy. Okay, that's good. I'm glad to hear about that. That was one thing that I was a little worried about.
As of last released, numbers wise, 5 million people have purchased Shadow of the Erd Tree, and it's roughly reported as of right now that 25 million people have purchased Elden Ring overall. So it's about a 20% purchase rate on the DLC, which is pretty decent.
That's pretty good
for DLCs.
Yeah, honestly, for a DLC, that's actually not terrible, especially a Souls-like. DLC. Well, not just a $40, but especially a Souls-like, because I know that like a lot of people look at that and it's too difficult. Like for me, it was to the point where I was like, am I gonna play it? Probably not. Do I want to get it? Maybe. I don't know.
No, were you able to find, I don't know if you looked, were you able to find the percent that have defeated Moog?
No, not an updated one.
Not an update yet.
Nobody gave a shit after the DLC came out because they
were too busy playing rather than bitching about
just out of curiosity
about doing an optional boss.
Just wanted.
They just went and did the optional boss instead of bitching about it.
I can try to look up the trophy guide on it while we're going on the next topic. Just I am curious at this point.
Yeah. So next topic, just kind of going back to PlayStation. I thought this was kind of interesting. So PlayStation's PC strategy seems to be doing extremely well for them, at least when it comes to Ghost of Tsushima. Ghost of Tsushima was one of the best-selling games of May 2024. Which I don't think is necessarily a surprise to anybody. I hope it's not, at least. I think Ghost of Tsushima has enough of a reputation when it comes down to like its quality on the PlayStation, that just bringing it over the PlayStation, or bringing it from the PlayStation to the PC, getting that boost in quality when it comes down to like graphic fidelity and everything like that. I wasn't personally surprised. I don't know about you guys. This made a lot of sense to me.
Yeah.
And it shows the quality of the game overall. And the fact that, for the most part, with one glaring exception, Sony has done extremely well with their PC ports. Surprisingly well for a game company that has had no interest in the PC marketplace up until the last couple of years.
That's what I was going to ask as well, as like, or point out at least, is like, you know, I've said it for a long time. We've all said it for a long time, but it's one of those things where it's like, we know exclusivity is not the way to go, right? Like that, releasing these games on other platforms is going to do well for Sony when it comes down to it. Like releasing it out to those other platforms, getting more money from those other platforms, that's just going to directly funnel all that money, all that success into furthering your next, you know, the next Ghost of Tsushima or the next God of War, everything like that, right? That was when they had that
picture of it all.
Yeah, when they had that whole situation with Xbox and the acquisition of Activision, right? And they were like, we can't continue on unless we have that direct influx of money from Call of Duty, right? I'm like, I sat there and I was like, then release your games on other platforms. Like, it's that easy.
You do the same thing. Yeah. Seriously.
If you're that worried about it, release do what half of the rest of the fucking platforms have wanted and release your games on them, and then you don't have to worry about it. You don't have to worry about hinging your success on one specific franchise, right? I don't understand how that's a huge step in the other direction when it comes to thought processing, but I don't know. This to me is a way of me being like, yeah, so the execs of PlayStation need to look at this and be like, okay, let's release more, which we know that they are. We already know that they're going to start trying to release, or they're going to start
with the PlayStation
more
account tied to it.
Right. This is one that still you have to tie your PS account to.
This
and that's
don't have to tie.
Shocking that
not
the
for
single
single
player.
Still, not for single player. For multiplayer, for multiplayer, you do have to tie it, but for single player, you don't. I believe.
I'm shocked by that. Still, I don't know.
What was the other one that came out?
Was
it Ragnarok? It might be Ragnarok. If I remember correctly, there was another one that was coming out, or that had come out, that even for single player, you had to have a PlayStation
Ragnarok's
account.
not out yet, but
I can't remember which one it was. But I do remember hearing rumors. I don't know if they were confirmed or not. But
was there another one? Was it The Last of Us?
It might have been Eloy or whatever her name is. Forbidden West. I don't remember. I'm not entirely sure. That I might be talking about my ass on that.
Horizon.
Horizon. I can't remember though. I don't remember, unfortunately. But yeah, so
I know so what I'm seeing here a couple months ago is the rumor was God of War Ragnarok was going to require a PSN account. So
yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. Sadly,
Ragnarok does come out.
I don't know, man. Is it being finicky again? All right, I'm sorry, guys. I think it's my
a little bit. A few hiccups.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. Yeah. My internet is not doing well. We'll try. We're almost done.
We just lost 2 viewers to it.
Damn.
As long as they announce it ahead of time, I don't think a lot of people are going to care.
Well, that's the biggest issue.
That's the biggest thing.
Like they did with
exactly. That was
which killed that game, by the way.
It did 100%. We were.
Really
that was actually
story.
something that I was going to bring up, but I should have fucking put it in there. Yeah, there's been some games journalists that are like, this game is dying, and it just shows that live service games did not do well after a certain amount of time. I'm like, no, it has fucking nothing to do with the fact that it was a live service game. It has everything to do with the fucking Sony said, hey, 127 countries, 147 countries, fuck you.
Yeah. Have they still have they reverted that at all in those countries?
No.
Still to this date. Wow. Yeah. So that's just really put the nail in the coffin there.
Yeah. It's sad. It's real sad.
If you still own the game, you can play it, but you cannot purchase it.
If you guys don't know Helldivers, we're talking about Helldivers and the fiasco that happened with the PSN account requirements on Helldivers. Yeah. If you were curious.
Just a little tangent there. All right.
Yeah,
I got those percents for you guys, by the way.
Oh, for real. Yeah.
Yeah. So on PlayStation, we are up to 55%. On Xbox, we are up to 56%. And on Steam, we are at 55.7%. So right in the mid to upper 50s.
That makes sense.
That's a 20%
it's 20% increase,
right.
On Mo kills.
Exactly. And 20% of people bought the DLC.
That's not bad.
Who'd have thunk?
Look at you being our math guy.
Yeah.
Quick maths.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Quick maths, bro. Quick maths, bro.
20%. Yeah.
It checks out.
Anyways, that is the ending of all of our major content when it comes down to like our mainstay. We're gonna move kind of into quick hits. We're gonna kind of. I think there's a few of these that we can probably move into a little bit longer than quick hits,
a little more in depth.
They're going to be slightly quick hits. If you guys haven't heard, closed beta for Marvel Rivals was announced. I know this is kind of old news, but it's been announced for July 23rd. So if you guys are looking forward to the
coming up
continuation of the Marvel Rivals closed beta, that's going to be pretty cool. Are
there any new characters for it?
We have,
I think so.
That was the next one that I was going to go to. Actually, they have announced that they will be pushing Black Widow in as the next character. If you guys want
to
take a look at her, this is the Black Widow character concept.
I love taking a look at Black Widow. Yeah.
So that's it's just a concept art right there. The one issue that people are having with it, though, and this is probably going to be a contention point and a conversation point, is that the Black Widow that they went with is a sniper.
It's a Widowmaker.
It's a Widowmaker. Yeah, a lot of people are having an issue with it because they're saying that it's a Widowmaker clone essentially.
Yeah. That's fine. I'm fine with that because I wanted a sniper.
Well, I'm sitting there thinking to myself, right? Well, if you want to look at it in retrospect, Widowmaker is technically a Black Widow clone because Black Widow has been a sniper since 1982, like 1960 something, like 1970 something. She's been around for a long time. Like, and she's been a sniper. She's used snipers in the past, right? Her backstory.
It's just primarily recently she's used like pistols.
Yeah, I mean, in the MCU,
melee and whatnot in the MCU. But further back,
she has always been like a sniper or like an assassin, etc., etc. The other issue that
she's not super serumed, is she? Is she super serumed like Captain America is?
Nope. She's just very well trained. That was the other issue that people had with her is like, well, she's a ballerina, and Widowmaker is a ballerina, and she was this and that, and I'm like, no, Widowmaker copied that. She's always been
again, yeah. That's good. I'm excited because like I really did want a sniper. I'm still looking forward to
looking for Hawkeye.
Or a Kate Bishop, but no, I'm fine with that. That's a good addition.
I'm legitimately honestly really surprised that they haven't put out Hawkeye yet. I would not be so shocked if Hawkeye is in release.
Maybe they're just building that hype up.
Maybe I don't know.
I feel like Namor feels pretty similar to a Hanzo.
That's what I kind of felt, but he just doesn't have that damage output.
I don't think the damage output's going to be reached in this style game, though. I think they want the TTK to be a bit slower. So
I don't know. I think we'll see with Widowmaker here, or Black Widow.
With Widowmaker,
we'll see some
one-shot headshots being a thing, but I could be wrong.
I think it might because Hela was a 2-shot headshot. So you give her an actual sniper, some damage. It's gonna be, if anything, it's gonna be close. It's gonna be really close.
Yeah, depending on the
or they'll give you like an alt for 1-shot headshots or something, or 1-shot.
That would be a good way to go about it. Have her maybe
the
sniper her ultimate weapon.
What is Widowmaker's alt? Isn't it like she sees through walls?
It's just like a sonar through wall hacks.
Yeah, wall hacks, and then she can wall bang.
That's all it is. It's a global wall hack.
Can she wall bang with it though? I thought she could shoot through walls and shit.
Nope.
Okay.
No.
Just wall hacks.
I mean, I'm really interested to see what they. And I'm sorry again, my internet is dropping, guys. I don't know what's going on tonight. So hopefully it's stable enough that you guys can hear us.
You're fine.
I am extremely interested to see what
you sound all right on our end right now.
I don't know if it's just the connection between me and YouTube or what.
Yeah, me too.
I'm interested to see what they do.
Only adding one character. Yeah.
I am too, but at the same time, I'm looking at it like they're probably pretty close to fucking release it if I wouldn't say so. I think that they're probably ramping up for release. I think we had said that we're looking possibly at a March or not March, August or September release was what we were thinking. I'm thinking it's probably within the next few weeks, if not the next month, but we'll see. I'm hoping that it's the next month.
I'd say month is probably accurate, especially with how polished it was.
I'm curious because we were supposed to get instant access if you hit level 10, from what I heard. So I wonder if we get that. I haven't heard anything, so I hope that's the case still.
I would assume so. You'll probably get an email this week, honestly. I'm hoping that they'll give it.
I took a screenshot. I did take a screenshot of my level 10s just in case.
I'm hoping that they'll give it to everybody that played because I wasn't able to hit level 10, unfortunately. So I'm hoping that.
I'm sure you'll be able to get in one way or another. You might have to get like a key again.
Hopefully. Something
like that.
Moving on with that, if you guys think that Widowmaker is a direct clone of Black Widow, you're an idiot. I'm sorry. I love you, but
other way around. But
Black Widow, or the other way around. Black Widow was around before Widowmaker, so Get out of here, nerd.
Yeah. Yeah, nerd.
Anyways, moving on. Apparently, there's a new development mode that's coming out for the Xbox Series X and S consoles that you can possibly run PlayStation 3 emulators on.
I put this in here. I'm just like, ain't no way Sony's gonna just like let this slide. They to be able to play Sony developed and published games on Xbox. No, they're a direct competitor. I can't see them letting that slide.
Like Sony has never really given a shit, have they, about emulators?
But
no, they haven't. They've been.
I get where you're coming from. I get where you're coming from.
This is the first emulator on an Xbox.
I get where you're coming from with that.
No, I mean, if you read right there, PS1, 2, PSP, and Vita are all able to be played on Xbox through emulation. So
yeah, I don't know.
Man.
I see this coming out. And I just don't see them. Like,
I think they would.
Down with it,
I think they would give a shit if it was a PlayStation 5 emulator. 100%. They'd be like, "Whoa, hold on a second. You can't play our games currently on that. That's a little much." But yeah, PlayStation 3. PlayStation 2 and PlayStation 3 games. I don't know.
Maybe not. Maybe not. But I either way, I think it's cool.
It is cool. No, I completely agree with
it's a cool feature, to be able to play those games on there. But yeah, that's all I had thought about that. I'm like, yikes. But
well, this is a dev mode update too. So like in order to get this, you're going to have to know how to push your Xbox into dev mode to begin with.
Oh yeah.
So this isn't just like everybody has access to this.
Yeah, because there's no way like you'd be able to just have a standard emulator on a consumer base level, but I'm sure if people really wanted to go down this route, nothing stopped people from
you could figure it out. I mean it's a Google search away. Like it's really not that difficult.
Nobody's gatekeeping you,
nobody's gatekeeping
you. I'm surprised Xbox doesn't have an issue with people cracking their consoles to do emulation.
They do. Xbox is not a fan of it, but like there's no way that they can really tell unless like you get caught cheating and everything like that. So it's, I don't know. Yeah. Dev mode on that. So if you're into into emulating and you got an Xbox and you know how to get to the dev kit, there you go. Now you can play your PlayStation games on it.
There it is.
Zelda Echoes of Wisdom is the most wishlisted game of the summer showcase season. That's surprising to me. Yeah, I was about to say that's extremely shocking to me. No offense. This isn't my type of game.
Yeah, but this is not just the Nintendo showcase. This is
any
Nintendo,
like the entire
PlayStation, and Xbox showcase.
Wow.
The fact that this one was this was not even my favorite.
This wasn't even on my radar. My guy, like I'm not even gonna lie. Like this wasn't even on my radar.
No, I haven't even seen this game.
Wasn't on there or Prime 4.
Yeah.
Mario and Luigi. I'm super excited about that one.
Or the Mario RPG or whatever it was. What didn't they release one of those?
That was it. Mario and Luigi.
That's it. Yeah.
And then like it's saying here in this article, the new Doom game, Astrobot. Maybe people just don't wish list games on PlayStation and Xbox like they do on Nintendo. But
I guess, man. Yeah, that's crazy. Fucking even like Gears of War E-Day, which I mean I can see that. Gears of War E-Day wasn't too exciting either. But yeah, Metroid Prime 4. I'm honestly shocked that Metroid Prime 4 is so 10th.
Low. Yeah,
that is crazy to me, man. Like my Metroid Prime 4 Beyond looked insane.
Yeah, I understand Metroid's not like Nintendo's premier gaming. I understand Mario and Zelda are more popular, but
even Mario, like you said,
so long.
But even Mario, like you said, like I'm surprised that's 6th place, man. That's crazy.
I'm surprised Indiana Jones is on there.
It's crazy, man. I don't know. Yeah. Maybe people are just into the Zelda shit, the Zelda Echo shit. Like it is a really popular franchise, man. It is a really popular
franchise, and it's a unique premise on that franchise. We've never really had a Zelda game like this, even if it is a top down.
Yeah. I don't know, man.
I was happy to see Astrobot number 3. I think that game's going to be like low key fire. Like
what is that game?
I think it only took 5 console generations, but I think Sony's finally got their math.
That's what I thought. That's their little Sony playtest, dude. And their like playroom. What are they making a full-fledged game with him?
Yeah.
80 levels. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I missed a lot of these games.
I saw a lot of people saying that they were like, again, shocker, Xbox fans and Sony fans are at each other's throats. I saw a lot of Sony fans that were like, how mad are the Xbox people gonna be if Astro's Playground gets Game of the Year? And I'm like, dude, what are you talking about, man? Like, I wouldn't be surprised if it gets like a nomination, but Game of the Year,
it probably will get a nomination. Yeah,
I don't know, man. I don't know, dude. People are crazy. 1 month on, and how's X Defiant doing? This is you, Bill. How's it going?
It's settled into its player base. It has had a drop in players, but it seems to be holding pretty steady, which is better than a lot of what Ubisoft has put out.
Unfortunately, though, there wasn't as much of a return with the release of Season 1, which was kind of a letdown.
Yeah, it was a letdown. That is true. But I'm pleasantly surprised about the game holding as high concurrently as, well, not concurrently, but like holding player base that it did after the initial player drop. And I think that's, again, a large part due to, one, it being free to play. 2, Siege is having probably its worst season in history right now. So I think a lot of people that enjoy Ubisoft games are looking for a shooter, and X Defiant kind of scratches that itch, even though they're completely different. And we're in the middle, like in between Call of Duty cycles. So it's honestly a perfect storm for X Defiant to thrive. And I'm kind of, I'm happy for them. I was looking for a little bit more oomph coming back, especially considering they didn't lack for content in Season 1. Like, they had a whole new faction added. They added 2 new maps. Yeah, like that's not bad, and new weapons. So
three new weapons, actually.
That's a decent amount of content for this style of game.
Have they fixed all the issues though, like the latency issues and everything like that?
It feels better. I've just played it. I just played it today, actually, and it definitely feels better. Though this minor delay or hit reg issues and tick rate issues still, but it's not as severe as it was in the playtest.
Okay.
So I think they still have some work to do, but it's getting there. I wish it was there already. It should be, but it's still not.
Yeah.
I'm hoping. I really am hoping for them that Ubisoft takes it seriously, because they don't have a very good reputation of taking these things seriously recently.
Yeah,
I think they are.
They're holding in the 50,000 player mark, which is decent.
It's pretty good. Yeah, no, it's pretty stellar.
I mean, consider they peaked at 203,000. They're sitting currently around 50,000, so that's still a decent chunk of the player base that has held on.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
Yeah.
Now, weird, just a little side tangent. That my complaint, not really. It doesn't even affect me, but it's a weird decision. Their ranked mode, did some digging on it, and from what I can tell, they lock 4 stacks at a certain rank. So there's I believe there's 6 ranks. There's copper, silver, gold, diamond, ruby, and emerald. No, I mix it up. It's ruby, emerald, diamond, and then legend, which is like top, like top 250 Call of Duty. So you can play 4 stack with your teammates up until diamond, which is the second to last rank. So it's still up there. But I just feel like it's so weird that they lock that. You can only play 2 stacks after diamond.
Yeah,
I don't know about that.
I don't know about that.
You know,
either.
like that. Yeah. That's like the whole point of like rank to me is like climbing up ranks and climbing up with your buddies, and then you get to a point where you can't do that anymore. Like, granted, it's at the top, but still.
Where did you find that info at, or is that just rumor?
No, I mean, I don't know if it's rumor. I watched a few videos, and if it's been stated, that's what people have been saying. And then I've watched some popular streamers, and I haven't been able to get like anything out of them.
I found it.
You found it? Okay, yeah, great.
Yeah, so you can play with up to 4. The players have to be within 15 levels of each other, between the highest and the lowest ranked. And then starting in diamond, you cannot queue with any more than 2 players.
Yeah. And I think that's why. And then now they say like, oh, it's because, you know, you don't want a full 4 stack going up against 4, you know, solos. But I'm like, man, at that point, I'm not going to be queuing solo. Like, that's I don't know. That's how I feel. Man, I don't play. I can't solo queue in these games in the first place.
I think it's one of those things where the upper ranks, they're wanting to try to create as much competitivity as possible. And
but I feel like
if you are playing like a diamond standard, it could create some deviation at that level where stomps could occur.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyways, it's a little nitpick. I just have never heard of it before in a game, so I almost wonder like if it's gonna get rolled back. Though I haven't heard much people talking about it, so I don't know.
Yeah, I prefer this over them just not allowing 4 stacks to general and ranked.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, it's really I probably will never even get there, so it wouldn't affect me. But yeah, still weird.
All right.
Either way,
well,
I do hope the best for X-Defiant going forward.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I'm right there with you, man. I personally not a big fan of it, but whatever. There you go. PS5 fan favorite Stellar Blade sold over 1 million copies. Devs estimate. That is actually impressive. I didn't think that. I mean, I knew it would do well. I knew Stellar Blade would do well. I just didn't think it would do that well, man. Like that's excessive.
Yeah.
That's
for a fresh IP.
That's thirst, bro. People are like, oh,
the gacha game.
Hot robot women?
Oh yeah.
Hell yeah.
I guess thirst has an aspect in it. It's similar to Nier in that aspect, but the game's good.
Yeah.
The game's just solid. I think if it was
maybe,
just thirst alone, it wouldn't.
It wouldn't have.
Just watch the game at that point, but the gameplay is actually solid.
Well, yeah, they bought it for the thirst, but stayed for the plot. Like
exactly,
bought it for the thirst,
the
stayed with the plot. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yeah, that's so. I mean, good for them, man. Like they deserve it, especially with all the bullshit that they had to go through. When before the release, with all the people complaining about it being too over sexualized and everything like that. I feel like that's a win that these guys needed, in my opinion. I don't know about you, but that's my opinion, at least.
For sure.
Yeah.
No, 100%. I actually just finished the game recently, and
did you?
It's exceptionally good.
That's good. That's good. I was a little worried that it was going to be a little what's the word, shallow at when it came down to it. But watching the delay, or not the delay, the demo that they had, I was like, I can see that this is going to be doing well. I think that was the best option. Steam's releasing a recording option into beta. This is.
Oh yeah.
Did anybody ask for this? Like. I feel like Steam is like a little late, man. Like,
they're a little late. Yeah, they've kind of just been doing like little enhancements here and there with their actual like, program, but it's cool, I guess.
I mean,
I hope this is something you can toggle on and off, because I have an NVIDIA Shadow Play turned off because I don't need that CPU tank.
That's the biggest the biggest question that I have is like, is this are they doing anything different from Shadow Play? Like, I'm curious about that, because I don't think that there's any way
this is it's a nice alternative to Shadow Play if you want.
I don't think there's any way that you could have it not turned on in the background, because it has to record your gameplay like it as you're playing, right? Like that's how Shadow Play works.
Well, there might be a toggle.
Cloud-based recording.
Oh, okay.
That'd be wild, but the quality would be shit.
True.
Unless you have like God internet, but I don't know. There might be a setting to disable it from recording in the background.
I hope it does. I don't want Steam spying on me while I'm playing my
game.
Well, you already got Windows spying on you. Like, let's be real. Come on, everybody spies on everybody. Yeah. Why not Steam, right?
You get a notification in the bottom like, last 30 seconds clipped, and it's like, I didn't clip anything. You fucking FBI agent.
From a dev. Don't worry, that wasn't for you. That was from me.
Yeah, exactly.
that was for your personal FBI agent. We got to send this over real quick. Sorry.
I like what you're doing. I like your gameplay route. Keep it up. Well, could you change this? It's like, yeah.
And to end the night off, I can't speak correctly apparently. 2 days before launch, and a week after its reveal, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League Season 2 has been delayed. If you guys don't know about this and haven't heard anything about this, this is a fucking joke, man. Not the delay. I'm glad they delayed it. The reason why I think personally they delayed it is, if you guys haven't seen it before, go look up Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, Mr. Freeze or Mrs. Freeze in this case. It's frightening.
It's bad, man.
It's extremely rough. Frightening.
It's just nobody asked for it. Another thing.
Yeah, the devs
for a game that was already struggling as is.
Struggling is putting it politely. Let's be real
Drowning.
Yeah. Yeah, the update came from their developer. They say we'll be adjusting the release time for the next season. Suicide Squad Season 2 will now launch on July 25th. Thank you for your patience. No reason was given for the delay. The update had previously been scheduled to launch on July 11th. The content of Season 2 was only properly unveiled on the 3rd, offering a new playable character in Mrs. Freeze alongside 2 additional episodes, a new battle pass, and an array of other content. We haven't seen any footage of this content in action yet. I can guarantee you why is because it's shit and they didn't want to show it. Let's be real. But I don't think this is any real loss to the gaming franchise, honestly.
I was hoping they could bring it back, man.
There's no way they can bring that back, man.
I really don't like seeing games fail outright, but it just seems like they have no.
I don't like seeing games fail outright if they're good. If the developers are actually trying to put in the time, these guys, I don't feel like they've done any research into the actual game. They're literally just putting out content that they want to put out, not what the player wants. That's the biggest problem, right?
Right.
Yeah.
That's like
400 player peak, by the way.
Yeah, I mean that's terrible, even for a single player game. Like for a single player game, for a single player live action game, that is dead. But let's be real. That's pretty much dead.
Yeah.
I think that the last time when the Joker came out, they were sitting around there. It was like around 300, 390, somewhere around there. They boosted up to they boosted up to 1,500 to a couple thousand, I think. But they never recovered. Like I don't think that they will ever get back to like the 44,000 or whatever it was at peak. So
I don't know the comics too well of DC, but is Mrs. Freeze like an actual comic?
Not that I know of. No. Not that I know. This is a weird one. Yeah,
like teeny bopper Joker is not a real thing.
This is a fucking weird one. I'm not entirely sure, so don't quote me on this. I could be very well wrong. I don't follow.
Yeah, maybe she could be. I don't know either.
I don't follow DC Comics all that much. I follow Joker. I follow Batman. That's about it. I don't know a lot of the other ones other than like Riddler and everything like that. But I don't believe there's ever been a Mrs. Freeze. I could be wrong again.
Nora Freeze. Maybe this is a Mrs. Freeze. Okay.
Mr. Freeze's wife has always been in the comics, but she's been in like a cryo pod.
Is that Nora Freeze? I'm looking it up. I'm just curious at this point, but
I don't know.
It looks like Nora Freeze is Mrs. Freeze, and I'm just looking at generic stuff. It looks like maybe she becomes a Mrs. Freeze at some point. So I guess there is. It's just a weird choice to go with Mrs.
It's a
Freeze
weird one.
Other than the staple
it's a very
of Mr.
And it rolls into the same situation, the same conversation we had when Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League first released. We stated that literally they just needed to bring out heroes and villains in this case, right? They just need to bring out good villains that
just bring out the good ones. Yeah,
and just do good with them. Like Joker, honestly, watching Joker, he was okay. Like I don't agree with the fact that they brought the Jared Leto one out. I don't understand why they went that route. They could have just went with the normal fucking Joker and people would have been ecstatic, right? People would have been happy about that. But his moveset and everything seemed pretty decent. I liked the character, like the actual gameplay of the character seemed pretty dope.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I really don't.
I'm also looking it up, and there is Nora Freeze in the comics, and there is a alternate universe storyline where she has the ice powers, and she looks badass. She's got like almost like a Punisher style get up.
She looks like a Karen in this. I wish there was an actual picture. They came out with like a little leak of the picture of Mrs. Freeze, and she looks like a Karen. Like she just looks like a Karen, like a blue-haired Karen.
Yeah, she looks badass in the comics.
She does. She looks really good. They should have just pulled that one if they were going to go this route.
Yeah.
they didn't.
I can't show that, Scruffy. I can't pull that.
I'm not telling you need to. I'm just showing you so you get an idea of what we're talking about.
Yeah, I would have to look back in order to see that. She does look pretty dope, actually.
Yeah, much better. Would much rather have that.
Would have way rather had that. Yeah, 100%. I don't know if I can.
Would have way rather had that.
I'm looking at back there. Yeah,
just turned into a Whisky Rabbit. Oh wait,
but
behind you.
Yeah, no, that's where you guys are at. Is over there. That's why I can't pull it up. Anyways, so I mean, if you're into that kind of stuff, go for it. If you want to take a look, if you've been interested in Kill the Justice League, maybe at least take a look at it. I don't know how much they charge for those ones. I think the Joker was like $10-15, if I remember correctly, to get the season pass and to get like the fast track to the Joker. That's
a fair price for like good content.
Yeah, I mean, if it was good content, that's the biggest problem.
That's a fair price for good content, keyword. Yeah.
But either way, if you're interested in that stuff, if you had any interest, I know that Sin had a little bit of interest in it. I don't know if he's played it recently, but
he enjoyed it.
He enjoyed the initial one. So if you guys enjoyed that, go check it out. I mean, why not, right? Anyways, guys, that's the end of the podcast. I mean,
hell yeah.
That is episode 128. Yeah, thank you guys for being here. We will be live again. Don't quote us on this. Actually, don't not quote us on it. Quote us on it. We will be here on Thursday, same time as usual. Actually 9:30. Yeah, we will be moving to 9:30. So if you guys are interested in an hour early, that's where we'll be at. So thank you guys for showing up though. Episode 128. Hopefully you guys had a good time. Make sure you guys go and check us out over on anchor.fm/prepatch podcast. You can get a hold of us on any of those specific podcast platforms that you like to listen to on that port. Get us on Twitter, get us on YouTube, Twitch, all that good stuff. And of course, check out everybody on the podcast as well. Scruffy, Bill, myself, Sin. You got all of our socials right there. And you guys doing anything fun this week or streaming anything, playing any games? What you guys got going on this week?
I'll be jumping into more Zenless Zone Zero, most likely on the podcast channel. So if you want to see a little bit of gameplay of that, hop on over here whenever I'm live with that. And I will be pushing pretty heavy tomorrow into my Elden Ring DLC level 1 run. No SCAD fragments, by the way. So.
No, you're going balls to the walls. I want to be the hardest.
Full level 1 because I haven't had enough self-loathing.
Why do you hate yourself so much? But
I need another reason. So
no SCAD man.
No SCAD man.
Why is that? Why does that not surprise me though? Why does that not surprise me one little bit?
Yeah, so that's what I'm doing.
You got anything going on this weekend or this week?
I may as well jump into some Zenless Zone Zero. That sounds like a pretty good time.
It's really good,
if I'm going to get into it. Yeah. Other than that, just going to I told you guys that 90s theme party. I'm going kind of 90s hip hop style. I already got my real baggy jean, some baggy jorts, and this is one of the oversized shirts I got, but I got it in white, and then I'm gonna put a jersey, like a basketball jersey, over it. So I want to like these shirts.
I want to just ask the rest of the chat. So are we at? I asked this of these guys before, right? Are we at the point where the 90s is old now? Because if we are,
we are.
I'm fucked, man.
I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news.
Like when I was a kid, it was like 70s and 80s nights. That was when we were doing it, right? Like we were like, hey, we're gonna go and dress up in the fucking the bell bottoms or the fucking the 80s fashion. Now these kids are like, hey, let's go and listen to Creed, and we can drink Mellow Yellow.
Dude, I still love Mellow Yellow. Don't hate on Mellow Yellow.
Oh God.
Hold on. I got a Beastie Boys.
Oh God. Beastie Boys are dope, bro. Let's be
vinyl. Real. I'm gonna bring what's that?
I said Beastie Boys are dope, bro. Let's be real.
Oh fuck yeah. So I got my
fuck yeah, buddy.
I'm gonna I got that. I'm gonna bring.
You went Canadian there for a minute. Oh God,
it just comes out of me sometimes, man. But
that's good.
It's gonna be a good time.
That's good. Hopefully you have fun with it, man. Yeah, and for me, probably gonna be doing a little bit of Final Fantasy 14. Again, as I said at the start of the podcast, trying to get back through the previous expansion to get in the new expansion. Definitely want to play some Zenless Zone Zero, so we're gonna definitely put a little bit more hours into that, and yeah, I think that's about it. So thanks a lot, guys. that's episode 128 in the bag. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And
love,
we will see you guys all on the next one.
Upcoming Thursday.
Talk to you guys later.
Deuces.